Hello and welcome to another video. So as you might have noticed in a previous videos that I've published, I am contributing to a project called the OpenSuspect project. This is an open source social deduction game that we are working on. And so in this video I wanted to tell you how you can try this out, how can you contribute and things like that. So the OpenSuspect project is hosted on GitHub under the OpenSuspect name and in the OpenSuspect repository, as you can see it here. And I will go through how to deal with the things in GitHub that you might want to do if you want to contribute, and I will also show you in the command line what other things you will have to be prepared. So one of the things is that because this is hosted on GitHub, which is kind of a Git remote repository, so Git is a version control system. I don't want to get too deep into these things now, but what you will have to have are 3 packages specifically. And so if you are on Arch Linux, of course, I can show you with the Q command what are these packages. So git-lfs and Godot. So the problem is that in Arch Linux you can get, of course, with sudo pacman-s, and you just type in git and git lfs, and after you give the password, of course, these packages can be installed from the main repository. You can also get git and git lfs on Ubuntu with apt install, I guess, or Debian, but you can just look up, if you are not using Arch, you are using a different distribution, you can check how you can get git and git lfs. And the third package, Godot, is actually in the AUR. So if you are using AUR utils like me, then maybe you can install it from the from the AUR. I have no idea why. Oh, I did something stupid here. So I actually need to grab just Godot, I guess. Yeah, this is what I wanted to type. So you can see that I have this from the AUR. So if you have the AUR utils installed on your Arch Linux installation, which I have a video about getting AUR utils working. It's not that simple, unfortunately. But anyways, so you have to install it from the AUR. With the AUR utils, it will be AUR sync Godot. And of course, for me, it will just tell me that there's nothing to do there because it's already on the newest version. So that's it. You have to get these 3 things: git, lfs, and Godot for things to work here. So if you want to just want to try things out, you can always just clone it with this HTTPS thingy. So you can basically copy this link here, and if we go back to the terminal, I have like a bin directory here, and I will just make a directory called test and cd test. And once you have git and git lfs installed, first, so before you do anything with git, you should run git lfs install. And so after that, what you can do is you can git clone and basically just paste this HTTPS link here. And this will ask for a username and a password for GitHub. So if you have a GitHub account, then you can just type in your credentials here, and this will create a new folder which will contain all the files that you need. But I am not going to go through with this because I think this is kind of very simple. So let's do the more difficult thing. So what you should be doing if you want maybe to change things and you want to contribute to the project. And for that, you shouldn't be using the official repository, but you should fork it. So if I just hide my face here, you can see that there is this fork button in the top right corner, and if I click on it, it will tell me that I've already forked OpenSuspect. so I won't be able to show you how this works on here directly, but luckily there is something that I would like to partake in, and that is working on the design document of OpenSuspect, which I have not done yet. So I will fork this. So I will just go to the top right corner here and click on the fork button. Where should we fork? Design document in Nice Micro. So this is my own profile. So it is now creating a copy of the source code under my own name. So now you can see that it's my name, and it's in the same design document thing. And I am going to clone this one, but because I want to contribute here, I don't really just want to have like just one time clone it, but I want to submit my code back. So what is really important here, I think, is that instead of using this HTTPS clone, we should be using the SSH thing. And for the SSH, you should be using like an SSH key. And for that, the best thing if you can do is just go to your profile in the corner in the top of the right hand side of the screen. You will find settings. You have to go to the settings menu, and here you will find SSH keys. So probably you will not have an SSH key, so you will have to create a new one. And how you do that is, well, let me just, you can give any title, doesn't matter. I already have my own SSH key set up, but I wanted to show you a way to create it. And so for creating your SSH key, we should first just go to our home directory /.ssh and use the ssh-keygen command, but I guess it's better if I do it like this: ssh-keygen -t rsa-b 4096-c and an email address. So the -t RSA will specify the encryption method, -b 4096 specifies, I guess, the length of your private key, and -c will specify an email address. So example at example.com. I guess you should use the email address that you use to register for GitHub, but it will ask for a file name, so I will just say github-test, and you can give a passphrase. So if you don't have a passphrase, there is nothing else. You just need this file to log in to your GitHub account when trying to clone or push changes or whatever. So if you are connecting to your GitHub repository, then you will just need this this private key basically. But if you enter a passphrase, then it will also ask for a password. It's kind of a two-step authentication process. So even if someone gets a hold of your private key, somehow they won't be able to use it without a password. But in this case, I'm not gonna bother with that. So we have created this file. So, and if I just type in ls-la github tests and asterisk, you can see that now we have created a github-test and a github-test.pub. And so the first file here, this github-test file, it is your private key, so you should not do anything with this. You should not open it, you shouldn't show it. You just let it sit there, and you will have to add your public key here. So you can just give any title, whatever. I'm not going to actually add this key here because I already have one, but I can just give it a title that can be anything, and then I just go back to my command line and I'll just cat out the github-test.pub file, and you can see that from here ssh-rsa and up until this point where you have your email address, you can just maybe in this terminal, so I use urxvt, and here I can use Ctrl-Alt-C to copy all this, and then I can just go back to the browser and just Ctrl-V and paste all this, and you can add this SSH key. So based on this public key, you will be able to identify yourself with your private key. So this GitHub knows your public key, and by that it will be able to tell whether you have your private key or don't. It is cryptography. It's a little complicated, but you don't need to understand more than this. The probably main thing is that don't share your private key with anyone. And now, after you did this, you also should set up your configuration. So there is a configuration file here, which is just called config. It is like the simple text file, and so I can just grab. So I have a few things set up, which I don't really want to show it to the whole World Wide Web, but I can just say GitHub. So you can see that there is this line here, host github.com, and then a tab, and then identity file, and then tilde/.ssh dash github, or not dash slash, so tilde/.ssh/github. So you have to add these two lines. Well, like host is going to be the github.com, and identity file will be exactly the same file that you just created here. So if I wanted to use this test file, then I should add like github-test, but I already have like a GitHub. Like this is like my private key that I use actually is just called /github. So there is nothing special about that. You just have to add these lines. All right, I guess I discussed this in great length. So let's just go back to our /bin/test directory, which I'm going to use here as an example. And in our web browser, let's just go back to our repository. So we are now in Nice Micro's /design document repository, and you can just use this SSH thing, copy this whole thing, and then we can use the git clone command. You can see now that it is using the Nice Micro /design document.git, and it will. So of course this is my private key, and I have a passphrase set up for this private key, so it will ask for this passphrase, and now it cloned whatever was in that to this folder called design document. So let's just step into cd design document. If I just list, there are these three files, the license, lobby, and the readme files, which you can see here. These are the three files. If I just type in ls-la, you can see that there is also a .git directory that will contain all the things that the Git program need to keep track of all the things that you might be changing. And so you don't need to worry about that. But from now on, because this directory has been cloned from a Git repository and it has this .git directory, we can use the Git commands like git status will tell us that our branch is up to date with origin/main, nothing to commit, and working tree is clean. So basically, once you've done this, you can test whatever you've cloned. So if you are using OpenSuspect, then this will result in cloning the whole OpenSuspect source code, and you will be able to open that in Godot and run it in the debug mode. So try it out. So that's what I do when I show you in the end. I will show you how the project is going. So let's say that you don't remember where is the remote repository for this Git project. So you can just use git remote-v, and will tell you that there is this called origin, and this is the GitHub, and this is the Nice Micro /design document.git. So basically it will tell you that this is like Nice Micro is my personal account, and this is the repository, the design document repository on my personal account. But maybe what will happen in the future is someone else changes the main repository, which is the OpenSuspect repository, and I want to get the changes from them. So I want to add a Git Remote Add, I guess. So I just type it in and I can get some information on how to do this. And so you can see that Git Remote Add options, name and URL. So what I will be doing here is Git Remote Add, and the name will be upstream. So, you know, if you have a river, the river is flowing from upstream to downstream, and so you are going to get, the upstream is going to be where you get the original repository, and you will be the downstream in your own personal repository. And basically we can just add the same thing like git at github.com : and instead of the nice macro I will just type in OpenSuspect, because OpenSuspect is the name of the project. So of course if you are cloning a different project, then there will be the project name there, and then it will be design-document.git for me. And now what I can do is I can type in git remote-v, and we can see that I have origin and upstream. And so if you want to check whether there is anything new in the upstream that you might want to receive to your own computer, then what you can do is git fetch upstream, and now it will ask your passphrase again, and well, I am totally up to date with no problems, because I have just cloned this repository. I just forked it and then cloned it. So this is a way to keep track of what's going on in the upstream version. So, but maybe you want to change something. So maybe, you know, I have the job at the project to update the design document or something. Maybe you cloned the repository from the source code and you have to change something in the source code. So what can you do? So you could just theoretically just, you know, go to Vim and edit the lobby.md, for example, or something, or just if it's the source code, then just open Godot and mess around. But that would be problematic if you wanted to do some more changes. So maybe it will take you a few days, and during those few days upstream will change things, and maybe you want to keep your work separate. So what you can do here is you can tell Git that, okay, so this is the main branch, which is, I will just leave. You can see that this is the main branch. We have the main branch. Well, how can I just tell Git status, I guess. It will tell us that on branch main, your branch is up to date with origin/main. So what you can do is have it get to a new branch. So you create a new branch, it will basically copy everything that you have in your main branch, but you can change things around there while keeping your main branch intact. So basically you will have like a working copy and a master copy or something like that, and you can update the master copy from the original source without that interacting with your updated things. And then you can, if there are changes that are conflicting in the two, you can just kind of comb them together into a new version. But so let's just create a new branch by saying git that git checkout -b new branch, switch to new branch. So if I just say ls-la, well, seemingly we're having the same three files. And so let's just do some change here. So I will just go vim lobby.md and I will just add something here. And I will just save it and quit, and let's clear the screen, and let's see. ls-la will tell us that we have the same files. But if I say git status, that you can see that there is a modified file which is not tracked by Git yet. It knows it's changed, but it's not tracking it. So I can do git add dot. It will just add all the changed files to our the Git thingy. So the Git will be track that file, and now it's modified, but it's in green because it have been added to our Git version control system. But we want to finalize this change to this branch, so we are on new branch. You can see it here that we are on the new branch, so we will just finalize it by git commit, and we'll say -m test commit. So this is going to be a message. After -m you can give like a commit message, so you will be able to check your Git history and you will see when you changed what. Now this have happened on the new branch. So what happens if I say git status now? We can see that we are on branch new branch, we have nothing to commit, and our working tree is clean. But what happens if I do git checkout main? So now what I can do is, if I just say ls-la, well, we'll still have these files, but what if I vim into the lobby? You can see that there is no change. The change is not here because I actually checked out the main, and I can git checkout new branch. So now I'm in the new branch, and if I'm on the new branch contains the changed file. So this is how you can have multiple branches working with this. And now let me show you how I can send back my changes. So maybe I did a few changes here and I want to send this back to upstream, so I want them to be able to include the changes I made into the main code, but I've already recorded that one for the source code. So I will just, I don't know, cut here back to a few days ago, and let's see. Okay, so I am editing this video right now, and I realized that I need to give some context for what you are going to see now on the next screen. So what is going on here? So what I did is that I basically cloned the repository from my forked nicemicro/OpenSuspect repository. I cloned it to my computer. I created a new branch called documentation, and this branch called documentation, the only purpose of this branch is to modify some parts, the readme and some other documents here. And after documents have been modified, I can just add them to my Git tracking and commit the changes. And using this branch, not the main branch, but this documentation branch, I will do the pull request. So let's just proceed with the video. And there are some changes that have been not committed yet. So we added the modified file, but we still have not committed the change to the branch. So I will type in git commit -m, and I will type in these quotation marks after the -m switch a comment on this. Will be the commit message. I guess that's for -m stands for. So I will say updated the readme to provide sufficient information or something like that. So okay, now this have been added, but it's still only on my computer. So what I would like to do is I would like to push this to my online repository, to GitHub, so everyone can see what exactly is going on, and I can ask the main OpenSuspect repository to get my changes into that. So this is what the pull request is. I will request them to pull my changes to the upstream repository. And first of all, I need to push these changes to my own repository, which is going to be just push origin. Oh no, it was to be git push, sorry. Git push origin. So after typing in my password for the passphrase to this GitHub SSH key, I got my changes uploaded. So here in this branch, I have already did some changes, so the branch was already made on both the repository in the online version and both done here. So in this demonstration I didn't have to do that, but now I can just switch to the browser and we can see that on my GitHub page in nicemicro/OpenSuspect we have the documentation branch. So if you are back in your main page, you can click on this branches icon here and you can see that we have this documentation branch, and I can ask for a new pull request, or I can just click on this branch and I can check what have happened recently. So it, of course, it got all the commits from, like, the previous commits have been inherited by this branch, but basically these are my changes that I've made here, and so these will be requested to be pulled to the original repository. If I just go back here, go back for branches, and I will ask for a new pull request. So I can type in that I have modified something. So I will just type in my kind of reason, and then I will create a pull request. So I typed in some kind of comments, and we have a policy that before the pull request got accepted and merged back into the official repository of the OpenSuspect base repository, then we have to have someone who reviews it and approves it. And so here I can request people to review my things, and I can just create the pull request. And what have happened right now? If I go back to the OpenSuspect GitHub page, will I have, yes. So my pull request appeared here, and I have no idea why did I get a 404 error there, but it's now a pull request in the OpenSuspect repository, and it is waiting for someone to review it and merge it into the official repository. And I guess this is the process how you can contribute to our code base, or basically anything that is in our repository. And so what is interesting about this pull request, that I did it in response to an issue. So there is an issue about updating README and contributors, and I assigned myself to this issue, but people can get assigned to these issues, and so now I can just go in here, click on the name, and I can go here for linked pull requests, and I will just add this 152, I guess this is called documentation, so I guess this is going to be what I will just have to check that it's a 152. Yes, it is 152. So if you are doing your contribution based on some issue that you have found on our GitHub, then this is the way to link it. So if people accept the pull request, then they can, of course, also make this issue resolved. And this is how this is one way of tracking what's going on with the code base in our project. Okay, so you have seen me how a few days ago I submitted my own changes to the README file and made a pull request. So now you know how to clone the repository, how to modify in a separate branch, how you can push the changes of your other branch to your own repository on GitHub, on your own remote repository, and how you can ask for the upstream to include your changes into the official repository of OpenSuspect. So now what I'm going to show you is I'm back in the OpenSuspect directory. It's a few days after I recorded the previous part, of course. So let me just have a git status here. So we are on the branch documentation, which I've just used to submit the modification to the documentation. So I want to go back to main. So I will git check out main. And now that I'm on main, what I'm going to do is git fetch upstream. And while we are doing this, I also want to go back to my GitHub repository. So if I'm on my nice macro / OpenSuspect, you can see here that this branch is 40 commits behind OpenSuspect main. So basically, GitHub is telling me that, well, there have been a lot of changes on my upstream, but I have not got these changes onto my personal repository. So let's do that. And I did that by fetching upstream. So now I have all these new branches and I have all these things in main that have been done in the remote repository. What I want to do here is I want to apply this to my own stuff here. So I will do git rebase and I will use upstream / main. So I think now if I check out git status on branch main, your branch is ahead of origin / main by 40 commits. So you can see that this 40 commits that this branch is behind is the same on my terminal if I check my git status. So I am behind origin / main by 40 commits, and origin, let's remember, origin is from the thing I cloned my repository, and I cloned the repository from my GitHub and not from upstream. So now I have gotten all the changes with the git fetch upstream command here. It just brought all the changes to my local machine, and now I rebased my repository on the local machine based on these changes, and now I will git push origin, and you can see that this will ask for my passphrase a few times, which I have no idea why exactly I have to type in my passphrase like 3 or 4 separate occasions. But now you can see that it is going to update things, and if now I go back to GitHub and I press Ctrl R, you can see that this branch is even with OpenSuspect main. So now you can see how I can basically keep up with my personal clone, my personal fork with the original, the upstream fork. So we have learned a few things here on GitHub and in Git in general. So we learned how to use this fork command here, how we can clone a repository from here using SSH keys. We also learned how to create a new branch on our own local repository to commit changes to without interference, how we can push those changes back to our global, or not global, or to the remote repository in the cloud, and then how we can ask for a pull request to send our modifications to the upstream project. And we also learned how to use git fetch to get the changes from upstream. And now that all these things we have learned, let's open Godot. Alright, to start Godot I need to go into my programming submenu, and when I start Godot engine, when you first start it, it will be empty. You won't have any projects open here in the project viewer. What you need to do is click on the scan button in this top right corner and select any directory that might contain your projects. So I use this bin folder inside my home directory. So what I can just do, I just select current folder and it will rescan the folder, and well, I just only have this one Godot project. You can either just run it with this run button here, or you can go inside with the edit button, or just double clicking on the project will open it for you, and so I'm not going to give you a Godot tutorial. You can find those on the internet, but here you can basically browse the source code in this bottom left corner, and you can open the different things that are in there if you are interested. Anyways, but if you just want to try out the game, maybe you can start it with the play button over there. And what I'm going to do is to showcase again the multiplayer aspect of the game. I will just open the Godot engine once more, and I can just click run here, and I can even click run more times, so I can have like 3 windows open. So let me just organize. Oh no, don't go full screen yet. So let me just organize these windows here. So let me just start a new game with this one. I will be nice micro in this. So we are in the lobby. You can see that now the lobby has walls. The lobby did not have walls previously. This is nice, I guess. And let me just join the game with another player here. And now, why I cannot see the other player? If I join with this one, let me see. Okay, so this one can see both of them. This guy does not seem to see the server for some reason. I have no idea why. So you can see that once I move out of range, those people disappear. And you know, like, this is the circle of visibility works. I don't know why this one does not work, so let me just close this for the time being, and let me just run one more instance here. So what I'm going to see is, like, there is the chat option here. I can send messages. The chat box still does not show me that new messages arrived, so we'll need to kind of add that as a quality of life thing. So let me start the game. So when I start the game, oh, this is like this very weird obstacle here which obstructs the vision. So you can see that now we have a task there. We have also this door something, so I can step on this. And in the previous video I showed you that if I step on this with 2 people, then the door would just like this door would just move off the screen, like, but now this have been fixed. I can work there, and this is like a task where I have to set this clock, and yeah, like the clock has been set, so that works. And well, what I also want to test is, can I join this game right now? And now I cannot join because the game has already been started. So that's kind of it. We have some improvements on the back end, quite a lot of improvements on the back end, and we have this one task. I cannot do the task again because I already done this with this character, but if I use like the middleman character here, I can do I need to do this task again. So I mean that player also have to do this task. This is kind of the status where we are, and if I just go back to the lobby, then I can connect with this player, and now I can see both the other 2 people. I don't know what was happening there, so I couldn't see the one of the players from this window. Anyways, so we can, now that we are back in the lobby, we can chat again. What is still missing is that if I start the game, actually, like, the position of the characters will stay the same. So we are just, the map is just changed under the players, but the players themselves, so it's not the players that have been moved from the lobby, it's the map that have been changed out from under our players here. So I guess this is kind of the progress I wanted to show you, and so you can always just go to our GitHub page if you are interested and want to get the newest version. You can always clone it, and I really suggest you to fork our repository so you can, add your own contribution. And we have this new README that you have seen me upload in this tutorial. So I showed you how to create a new branch and then use that new branch to ask for a pull request, and once your pull request gets accepted, so this README got accepted from me as a pull request, so now it's in the main repository, so you can read something about this project, the game, what our goals are with the game, how we are implementing it. We have some links for you to join the conversation about the contribution, and we also have a contributing.markdown that have been added recently. So here you can find some short description on what to do if you want to contribute, especially in the programming. We will probably include other aspects how you can contribute to this document, to this file later, so just check back. We are really awaiting anyone who wants to join. We need more people for the coding, for the art, for just thinking about. So even if you don't know how to draw, you don't know how to code, we can still get your help, because we need more people to think about what game mechanics we want to implement. So the game is not fleshed out 100%. We have a few design choices that we are already decided on, which are immutable at this point, but we still have a lot of things that we can use your help figuring out how to do in the future, especially after we get the alpha release, maybe with one map. After that, we will need to make more maps for the game, and we will need more people to have good map ideas for that in the future. So join us, and well, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more about this OpenSuspect project, or you are just interested in the tutorials I'm putting out, I strongly suggest you to subscribe to this channel and help me to get closer to 1000 subscribers, which I'm very far from, but well, man can dream, I guess. And well, leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.